Oh, it says we're currently live.
You're live. We're live.
Hey. Sorry.
Hi, everybody. I'm Sherry Reichert-Ballou, and here is Cindy and Bob McKee. Hello, you guys.
Hi.
Ooh, I forgot to put our names up. I'm going to do that right now while you're saying hello.
Yep.
There we go. Thank you so much for being here. As you guys know, and anybody who's been following along, we're all fortunate enough to be a part of the Certified High Performance Coaching group. And there are hundreds of us. And I realized there's so much wisdom and so much heart and generosity in this group that I wanted to share you guys with everyone. So yeah. So thanks for being here. And I love that you're both here together. You're both coaches, right?
We are. Yes.
Yeah. And so my question is this: how are you taking care of yourselves and your clients right now? And what are you I guess, what are you seeing are the most important things to share?
Yeah, so that's a really good one, because our direction of our coaching practice is towards relationships.
Yeah.
We have this, we love to share our own gifts as much as we can in our coaching. And we're really taking care of ourselves, and we are encouraging others to do the same by really, on a really moment-to-moment basis, day-to-day basis, really to shine a light anywhere anything comes up that's kind of hard, and that could be, oh, you touched that, oh, you scratched your nose, you weren't supposed to do that, or you touched that door handle, those kinds of things that have us a little bit on edge right now, and could put a wedge between us.
Yes.
So that kind of tension that's in the air right now, we want to not shove it under the rug, just say, ooh, I just said that a little too strongly, or I interpreted that as that, and it wasn't. It was just, and so we've always been really good at being our best walking laboratory. Whenever there's anything, we kind of dig in because we love it, dig in and say, oh, that was that. And so in relationships, which are going to be strained, and because we're in confinement now.
Right.
So the very best of us may not always be present. So as things bubble up, which they're going to, it's inevitably, it's an opportunity. We look at it as an opportunity to grow, but we have to be willing to look at it and not take it personally, be without judgment. And so that's the biggest thing, to be without self-judgment, to be without judgment for each other. And those aren't always easy things to do, when we're feeling all the pressure coming in right from the outside.
Yeah. Wow, am I glad that you started off with this? And I'm so glad. I invited both of you. I didn't know if both of you would be able to be here at once, but what a blessing that you're both here together, because it's such a great opportunity to talk about relationship. And it could be what you've just shared with us. Yes, it could be romantic relationship. It could just be anyone who's in confinement with another human being.
Yes.
Like what you're saying about the no judgment and speaking what is happening so that it doesn't, stew. And yeah, that is so great. Have you guys, has this been something you've been able to practice together?
Oh, daily. Yes. Yes.
Was that maybe a silly question?
Want to or not.
Absolutely. Yeah. But we love putting pieces together for people, for ourselves, because we're kind of passionate about that. And so we just have this golden opportunity to be doing it on a daily basis, just to really look, and not.
Yeah.
It's so easy for us to get into our own lanes, as we say in relationship. It's really easy to get into your own lanes and just stay there from our protective mode and just allow things to wash over that probably shouldn't wash over. So we want to kind of get out of that. It's just natural, we're all in survival mode, and so it's natural to kind of hunker down and get in protection, and it doesn't serve a relationship.
Wow, I love that. And I love Sharon is saying, no place to run to. My daughter and I are growing together by practicing all our skills. Yeah. That's so true. Yeah. And I love what you're saying. It is a natural thing right now, right? To just kind of, in so many ways, I keep thinking the term hunker down, yes. Right? Like it's such a,
right.
I keep not wanting it to be used because it kind of does, I think, in some weird way, encourage us that we're, we're protecting ourselves, when really what I hear you guys saying is, and just like Sharon just said, what a great opportunity to grow together.
Oh my gosh, yes.
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 Yeah.
Terrific.
So I'd love to hear some more from you guys about maybe, ways that you're practicing personal growth together while you're here in this crisis.
If,
Yeah, go for it.
probably the number one way for me is that as we've got into this event that's happening for everyone in the world, and the door is closing. I feel the pressure all the time, but what we do that probably I think is the most rewarding for us and continues to put us on a path of growth is that we're willing to be vulnerable.
Mm.
And as a man, that's not necessarily the easiest thing, because we're often taught not to be.
Yeah.
But if your world is caving in on you and collapsing, and you want to push the walls apart, you've got to be real. And I have to be just as real with Cindy. She may say something to me that triggers me that maybe wouldn't have before, but the world's changed overnight, and now it triggers me. So to the relationship, I have a responsibility to respond with how I felt with that, and Cindy does the same to me, and we grow. We're actually, I feel like this is a petri dish. That what's going on right now is growth can be explosive for us if we're willing to be real with one another.
Good.
Oh, Bob, thank you.
To our daily, we walk every day. We have a dog, and so she gets us out also, which is great. And we walk every morning, and those are like, some part of it's quiet, almost meditative for us, but part of it is just like good conversation. And we're not really talking about the weather, except to admire it for a moment, for sure, and be gratitude for it. But that's when things like bubble up for us, when we're in movement and we're outside. And then when we sit down later to breakfast or whatever, we love this stuff, so we like looking at it and figuring out what might have us like a little negative feeling somewhere, where'd that come from, and self-discovery, relationship discovery. It's a great opportunity.
Yeah, and how beautiful. I love what you two are modeling about, like, again, rather than trying to push this away or like, oh, I'm just going to go in my own corner, that you're using it as a time to really explore together, which I know you guys do all the time together, but to explore how do we grow in this? What might we be learning that then we can take to our clients, and really using it. And I love what Bob said about vulnerability. And again, I think across the board, right? It doesn't matter if it's a romantic relationship or our family or our children, that, I think the more honest and vulnerable we can be, the better for all of us.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, Bob, Sharon just said, thank you for showing me what a thoughtful, conscious man will step into when called to evolve.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's awesome.
That's beautiful. So I have a question for you about couples, romantic couples who are sheltered in place together right now. What advice do you have to keep things fresh, to keep things alive? So that, because like when you said, oh, we go out and we walk in the mornings, and I was like, you still have something to say to each other? What?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, yes. So I have a thing about too much silence, because I know too much. I recognize it, probably because it's a little bit of a trigger for me, because I grew up in too much silence.
Yeah.
In my family, and so I get a little like almost abandoned feeling if he's too quiet and he's contemplating and thinking, he's in his thinking head, and I'm like over here. And so we like, oh, we have to reconnect. I mean, the walks are, from the beginning of our getting together 13 years ago. Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of how we are. So couples that are they're together, hopefully they can get outside. It's not true for everybody. Some people can't, but a lot of people can. If you can, if you can't, open a window and go out on your balcony, something, to change it up. Just
Yeah.
change up the routine, sleep on other sides of the bed, do something different, whatever it is, because
Yeah.
we get so habituated in our thinking, and we have this built into us from our survival mechanisms. We have a negative bias in our minds. That's old survival in place. And it's so easy and the brain is resisting change like crazy. And we've got change all over. And so, how can we change it for the better? Just change things up in your house, approach each other differently, just do something different. Step up when you might not have before. Just say, hey, whatever it is. Sometimes it's ouch. That kind of hurt a little bit. And that might be about me. But as opposed to him, but to speak it and to say it and challenge it. And then have fun. I mean, have fun. You got to laugh. You have to laugh. Right.
Yeah. I would add to that. Something that happens organically in our walks is we find gratitude for something.
Oh.
And so if you can't get out, if you're in your house or your apartment and you can't get outside, I'd really encourage taking the time as a couple to find something to be grateful for this day. And as Oprah says, even if it's just the air that you're breathing.
Right.
And if you share that with each other, I think it'll help set a tone for the day, because gratitude is like the best place to begin each day. And it's a hard time right now to be in gratitude for where we are. So it's a reach, but it's a reach of great value. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. I love that you brought that in. And, you guys probably know, like, one of my favorite things is really expressing that gratitude for each other. Mm-hmm. And, to perhaps at this time to start your day with that, here's one thing I love about you, or you each write it on a little note and put it on the refrigerator for the other to find, or you hide it somewhere in the house. I don't know. I think you're right about a couple things, like bringing the play in, and this, like, Cindy, what you were saying about change. I mean, I love that you said even sleeping on the other side of the bed that you usually do, right? I mean, it's astounding to me how that can really refresh things. Yeah. So, oh, hi, Dean. Dean says you're some of his favorite people. I love that.
Oh,
it's so sweet.
I love you, Dean.
It's nice to see Dean here. Yeah, so I think that's really important. Are there any other examples that come to mind of how you might be surprising each other or adding that sense of spontaneity or newness?
Yeah, I think there's like looking for that little twinkle, that you probably had at the beginning of your relationship, and you sort of forgot about it. And there's a little, there's a fun little banter, teasing thing. Don't forget that. That's still in you. Those sparks are still in you.
Yeah.
Try and fan that a little bit, and often with just a little fun kind of tease, because you know each other so well, right? That you can have moments they're not at all, critical or in judgment at all. They're just the opposite. They're just kind of fun, and to do a little fun poke here or there, and just play is so important. Yeah, be in that, because that brings that feeling of connection.
Yeah.
In this together, we're having fun. We're dealing with a very, very impossibly hard time, but we're also that connection, that glue. We're together. We're not alone doing this.
Yeah. And let me ask you. So I know that you guys do work with a lot of couples, right? And I presume is it all romantic couples?
No, not necessarily.
Not necessarily.
Yeah,
but okay.
Couples coming apart. It could be someone looking for new love. It's sort of phases, how really, and find your center, find yourself again, or I'd like to bring in new love, or just partnerships in other ways too. Parent-child, I mean, it applies to them too.
Awesome. Yeah. So what I'm wondering is, and thank you, Dean. Dean just said I got to be included in his favorite people too. So that made me happy.
Absolutely. Yes.
So what I'm curious about is, what particular kinds of challenges are you seeing right now for people that you're coaching? Are there any tips that you might share, that things that have come up in the last week or so?
I think right this very second, we're kind of okay. but we were just discussing this a little bit ago. I think what's going to come is the honeymoon of this whole sequestered piece for everybody is going to start to wear thin after a little more time goes on. We're kind of like, it's still a novelty. We're kind of like, hoarding toilet paper and, doing all those survival things together, we're just, doing all that get ready piece, and saying, okay, this is the new norm. But I think it's going to wear thin after a while. And so it's to be really, really mindful of that, like really aware that, oh, yes, today I'm not quite as bright and up about the whole thing. I'm feeling a little demoralized by the whole thing, a little depressed by the whole thing. And just to watch that, because that's coming. Just to know that that's coming and to acknowledge that, just acknowledge it. It is here. It has to. And so if we keep looking for it and addressing it as it comes, we can keep rebooting and rebooting and rebooting. So it's a constant reboot.
Share with her a little bit about acceptance.
Yeah. So the biggest piece I find for everybody right now is true. It's true for all different situations, but we can't move through any challenge, and whether you're trying to lose a whole bunch of weight, or you're trying to change, build a new career, or build a relationship, or figure out how to navigate this world right now. The first piece really has to be acceptance. You have to accept it first, whatever the condition, the situation that is something that you probably wouldn't prefer. The first step is acceptance, and acceptance is not the same as approval. I don't approve of it, but I accept it. I'm not going to fight it. I'm going to work with it. And from that point, we can build new ways of being. Just that we acknowledge it first and we accept it.
Yeah. Did you want to add something to that, Bob?
Oh, no. Well, yeah.
I just thought you looked like you had something to say.
It's if you can't find acceptance, you live in struggle with what's going on. And if we're creative creatures, your ability to create from a place of struggle is very limited. But if you can accept where you are and just be where you are in the moment, and this is okay, doesn't necessarily mean I like it, as Cindy said, but it's okay, then the struggle goes away, and your ability to be creative in whatever way you is going to be enriched.
Oh, yes. I love that. I mean, I see that all the time in my own life. When I'm in resistance to something, it's just that's all that there is, right? Yeah. There's just that big no, no. And there's no room. What I hear you saying is once we're in acceptance, and I love what you keep saying. It doesn't mean we have to prove it or even embrace it, but just then it is almost like the improv, the yes and feeling.
Yes.
Right? Like, yes, this is here. Mm-hmm. This is what is. Mm-hmm. And, what's possible in this.
Right.
Yeah.
That tags in really well to the acceptance piece is whatever shift you're trying to make, and you might not be making it. Like, I want to be more kind or compassionate or patient. Mm-hmm. Patient would be a big one right now. And I slip down that slope of not, and I lose some of my patience. Is first I have to accept it without judgment. Oh, I wasn't so patient just then. And I have to accept it before I can move. I have to put a little space between me and it, the thing that I don't like, a little space, and go there without judgment.
Yes.
The moment I say, oh, there I go again, I'm fueling the bad feeling that I might be having about myself. But if I say, oops, that wasn't very skillful, I didn't do that very well, and it's just a thing, I just acknowledge it.
Yes.
Now I can move into what I do want.
Oh, I love that. And even if we can have the courage to voice that to someone we love, to me, there's such relief in the times I've been able to say, oh, that was not my best self. That was not very graceful. Right. I really didn't mean to come from that place. Right. Oh, look, hello. I wanted to say hi. Petra's saying hi, and Linda. That's so great. Yes, you guys are so right about that. Yeah. I want to circle back for a minute to what you were saying about sort of anticipating, you know, like you said, we're in the honeymoon phase, you know, of this, which I know, but it's like that sense of anticipating that, yeah, this could go on for a while.
Good.
Our patients could wear thin. We could grow more grumpy with each other.
Yep.
Are there things that we can be doing as we're anticipating that to keep our relationships positive and strong? Like whether it's a mindset thing or a practice, anything come to mind?
It's always a mindset thing. Always a mindset thing. You know, it is again, to right back to start the day, you know, with gratitude. Keeping a gratitude journal is awesome exercise. Journaling is an awesome exercise. Sharing your frustrations, not pushing them under the rug, being really, really hyper aware of that I'm pulling back, or my temper's growing short, or I'm more frustrated today than I was yesterday. Is to keep acknowledging that, you know, and be kind of okay with not having answers right now.
Yeah.
We don't know. And our brains really want to organize things. The brain wants to know. And it's being called on right now because it doesn't have a category up there for this.
Ain't that the truth? I was laughing, especially because before we went live, when I was telling you, like, I want to wait till 4. I don't know why, but I do.
Right.
You're like, just some order, right? Like the brain wants something to grab onto. So I love that what you're saying about this. Yeah. Is anything else dropping in for you around? I mean, again, it can be any kind of relationships that we're having right now, but what we should be focused on together.
As you're saying that, I thought of something just the opposite of that.
Oh,
that is that we still have to have our own time, our me time.
Yes.
Even if it's household chores, you know, I'm on this side of the house doing this and he's on that side of the house doing that. And we have our own, or I'm going to go meditate on my own for a little bit. We have to build that in because that may have been built in already into our daily lives. You know, the going to work in different areas and just different leading separate lives and coming back together. I guess the natural flow of most relationships.
Right.
That now. And so we have to build that in just a little. I'm just going to go for a little walk. Like for me, I'll take the dog out on my own, you know, enjoy that just breath time on my own. Because we have to keep building ourselves up in order to be present for our partners when we want to.
Yeah.
So we have to put it all on the relationship. It's not the relationship's job to carry this.
Yes.
Our individual jobs coming to a relationship in a more fulfilled way.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm so glad you said that. And it actually isn't the opposite, even though it might sound like it is, right? Like I think we all know, probably, you know, most human beings know, right, that when we're connected to ourselves, when we're solid in ourselves, that's when we can be in relationship to, you know, the best, most honest, most vulnerable, you know, place. Yeah. Oh, I'm so glad you brought that up because, you know, I know for myself, I live in San Francisco. We have a tiny house. We have a very tiny house. Mm-hmm. And usually that's not such a problem because we live out in the world a lot.
Right.
And I know a lot of people, particularly people in Manhattan, are talking about this, right? Mm-hmm. So, you know, for anybody who might be in a small place, especially, and what you're saying is so important. You know, how are we giving each other space and finding space? And back to what you were saying earlier about not taking things personally if someone wants to go for a walk by themselves.
Yeah. Right. So that's not a thing for us. Like neither one of us takes offense at that at all. We support that, kind of always have. But for some people it is, you know, and so no judgment, you know, but they have to recognize that's okay. That we have to take care of ourselves in order to be supportive.
Right. Partner. Right. Yeah. You often say that you have to grow the individual first to grow the relationship. Yeah. And so you have to honor that individuality because it's in that the richness of the relationship comes from.
Exactly.
Nice. That's great, Bob. Yeah. I know we just have a few minutes left, and I have another question that just bubbled up that I wanted to ask you, which is, it seems likely to me that let's say that there are, you know, a couple who's sheltering in place right now together or quarantined together. Right. And maybe one of them is dealing with it by watching TV all the time. and the other wants to use this for personal growth,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Would you have any suggestions? Like, how do people navigate that?
Right. You know, the person who's watching TV all the time is needing that as an escape, you know, and that is their escape. And that's hard inside a relationship. So they're going to have to come to so much TV time, so much quiet time. They're going to have to set up some parameters so resentments don't build.
Yeah.
And some people, that is their escape. TV is their escape, but
Yeah,
not the other person's. And oftentimes that is the case. How can we work that out? How can I honor that and not be critical of it? You know, if that's what you're working out, I honor that. It's not mine. Where can we set up some parameters so we both get our needs met in what works for us?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah.
I love that. And again, you know, you guys have been saying this, and I just feel like this has been so important, right? The communication, and the non-judgment, right? Because that's another thing. I have to interrupt myself. My friend Linda's here, and she just said, I'm loving how Cindy and Bob look at each other adoringly while the other's talking. Oh, it's so true.
That's true.
It is so true. Thank you, Linda, for saying that. It's so. I've always loved that about you, and I'm so glad she just named that. You're so beautiful together.
You know, I can speak to that for just a second, if I may.
Yeah,
Thank you so much for that noticing. That's intentional.
Yes.
That's intentional. We're not, you know, Cupid didn't hit us with a big arrow, you know, and comes in every day and just, you know, glams us up with stars in our eyes.
Medium large arrow.
But really, that's a daily intent. That's intentional that we honor each other while we're talking, and we make what Bob's saying important, and vice versa. We have to work on that and make that. It's a choice. Like, love is a choice. Happiness is a choice, you know, on a moment to moment basis.
Yeah.
Oh, you guys, you know, this is one of my favorite things about life, right? That here we are in conversation. Linda joins in. Yeah. She says something, and then it gives you the perfect opportunity. Like, I felt like that was really important to be said.
Yeah, thank you,
and
Linda.
So, I thank you, Linda. Oh, and look, Sharon's saying you're inspiring me to be in love again.
Oh.
And I take that across the board, you know, not only in romantic relationships, but I feel like you're inspiring all of us to be in love with the people that we're with, you know, whoever. Oh, Dean says that's why I love them. So whoever is in our little bubble with us right now, and that can include the people we're calling and videoing and writing letters to. But yeah, I think maybe that's the place to end on today, right? Which is like, let's fall in love again with everybody in our lives.
Everybody, yeah. So we set up a regular Zoom call with all our kids who are set up across the country. So we get together, we see each other's faces, and we tell them we love them, and we hear their frustrations and their jokes. It's like we're all in the same room together. You know, it's the best room we can create. It's awesome.
Oh, you guys, this has been so wonderful, so important, I feel like, and I'm so grateful that it worked, that you could both be here together. That feels like that was such an important part of this. Is there anything that you want to leave us with? Any last words that you want to share?
Mostly our gratitude for you, and the way you spread love in this world is phenomenal. So we are so grateful
it's
for
our
your
honor
presence
to
in
have
our
met you
lives, Sherry. So.
Oh, you guys. Thank you.
I'll share one thing that's been with me since this began, and for me there's been kind of an underlying message that this is our opportunity to do a reset. How we want to define ourselves as human beings, the opportunity is here right now.
That's good.
So if you're a couple and you're going to the grocery store and you can go shop groceries for someone down the hall from you, let's find ways to be bigger than we've been in the past.
It's good.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
So,
good one.
And see what happens when we come out of this.
Exactly. It's awesome.
Maybe the world will be changed.
The world will be changed for sure, and hopefully in a good way.
Yeah.
That's good.
Thank you for that, Bob. Wow. Yes. Here's to that reset, and here's to everything we've been talking about loving as best we can and putting that into action right now more than ever. Thank you. I
Thanks,
love you
Sherry.
guys. You have been just amazing to talk to.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thanks, you guys, who are
Bye,
joining us.
everyone.
Yay.